My name's Eli, I'm 28, and I work in a small electronics store in downtown Dallas. Every morning, I wake up to the sound of my alarm ringing at 6 a.m. I can smell the coffee brewing, feel the cool morning air, and hear the hum of the city outside. But even though my feet hit the ground, it feels like I'm stuck in place. I walk to work, my shoes barely holding up, the street beneath my feet worn down from years of people like me trudging through the same tired routine. My life is like clockwork. Predictable, and yet something always feels off. At work, I'm invisible. I've been here for 3 years, pushing products, smiling at customers, always doing my best. But there's always a limit to how far someone like me can go, and I'm starting to feel it. I feel overlooked, like I'm invisible to the higher-ups, the ones who decide who gets ahead and who stays stuck. But I'll tell you this, I had no idea that the betrayal that was coming would shatter everything I thought I knew. It started like any other day. My boss, Richard, called me into his office. He was a man who wore his success on his sleeve, his shiny suits, his perfect hair. He was the kind of guy who never seemed to get tired of talking about how good he had it. Meanwhile, I was over here, busting my ass, making sacrifices. I had skipped family dinners, worked late nights when the rest of the world was out having fun, just to make sure I kept my job. All of it seemed to go unnoticed by Richard. Then, he offered a promotion, but it wasn't to me. It went to someone else, some guy who'd only been working here for 6 months. Richard's words echoed in my mind. We need someone with better connections, someone with a little more background. The sting was unbearable. The guy who got the promotion had never worked a day in his life like I had. He was the kind of person who got everything handed to him, someone who could afford to fail and still land on his feet. As for me, I had to fight for every single thing, yet here he was, handed the future I thought was mine. I had sacrificed everything for this job, but Richard, he didn't see me, not for my hard work, my dedication. He only saw the fact that I didn't have the right background, and that's when I realized, this wasn't just about a promotion, this was about something deeper. The day it all came crashing down was the day Richard said the words I'll never forget. Eli, people like you don't make it in this business. He didn't even look me in the eyes when he said it. He just sat there, glancing at his phone, clearly not bothered by the hurt his words caused. I could feel my heart sinking, my stomach twisting, my fists clenched, but I didn't say a word. What could I say? The truth was, it wasn't about me or how hard I worked. It was about the fact that, in Richard's eyes, I didn't belong. I wasn't enough. I walked out of that office that day feeling empty, like something had been ripped out of me, and in that moment, I swore to myself that I wasn't going to let this man, or anyone like him, ever define my worth again. So, I did something radical. I used everything I had left, my savings, my last ounce of determination, and I started my own business. I didn't know how to run one, but I knew how to work hard. I knew how to hustle. Every penny I'd earned, every ounce of my energy, went into making this new venture something no one could ignore. It was tough. I remember staying up late, the quiet of the night around me as I typed up plans on my laptop. I could hear the clicking of the keys, the faint hum of my refrigerator, and the cold air that seeped through the cracks in my apartment, but I didn't care. The sound of my own resolve was louder than any doubts I had. As time went on, my business started to grow, word spread, and then one day, I got a message. It was from Richard. Eli, what the hell are you doing? You think you can just come in and take everything from me? His frantic text was filled with frustration. He called me several times, but I didn't pick up. The more I thought about it, the more I realized, I had made it, and Richard, he was starting to panic. It was almost laughable how desperate he sounded, how he tried to guilt me into giving up, as if everything he had was his by right. But I wasn't backing down. Months later, my business had exploded. It wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. And then came the moment I'd been waiting for. I stood before a crowd at a major business event, my company now worth millions, and with a calm smile, I announced that I was acquiring Richard's company. Richard's face went pale. I could hear the gasps from the crowd as I made the announcement. The smug arrogance I had seen in Richard for years vanished in an instant. He stood there, frozen, as the weight of his own downfall crushed him. The irony wasn't lost on me. He had everything handed to him, and I had built my success from the ground up, but now, I was the one in control. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind. Richard was ousted from his position, his reputation in tatters. The same people who once praised him now turned their backs. It wasn't just his business he lost, it was everything. As for me, I didn't feel the satisfaction I thought I would. Sure, there was a part of me that felt justice had been served, but the real victory wasn't in watching Richard fall. It was in the man I had become. I wasn't the same guy who had walked into that office all those months ago. Defeated, I had learned to value myself, to believe in my own worth. Now, I wake up every morning not to an alarm clock, but to my own ambition, the quiet hum of my office, the feeling of accomplishment. Those are the sounds I've come to cherish. The lesson I learned is this: your worth isn't determined by where you come from, or how much money you have. It's about who you are, what you believe in, and how hard you're willing to fight for it. What's the most powerful lesson you've learned about your own worth? Leave a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that prove it's never too late to rise above.